I'll now open to the floor for the first speaker, Professor Notifafa, and Professor Notifafa, you have 15 minutes. I know it's not a long time for you to deliver every wonderful speech you want to give to us, but I'll just interrupt when it's 3 minutes before the end of time so it doesn't look awkward. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you for, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for the nice introduction. Today I am in my alma mater college, University of Groningen, because we are talking about graduate school. That reminds me of my days and how I was able to get there. And I think that's the reason why we are here today. So I'm happy that you extend this invitation to me and share um, personal views. That's the most important thing to say because there is no one jacket fit all, right? So your trajectory, your story, your roadmap might be different from mine, but there are similarities, there are common trends, and what should we look for? Unfortunately, sorry, the PANAPA did not give me an outline of what to talk about. So I've given myself an outline. Stop me at any time because I'm trying to touch on points generally, not to be too specific. When needed, I will give specific examples. But I'm happy that we have a Q&A so that if the audience or any of the members who want to pick on that and expand it, that would be nice. So I'm going to speak on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. Right. So graduate school, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what level you have. This applies to everyone. By this context, we are talking to Africans in general, and I'm sure this experience that they will share with them today, they can share with anyone from any part of the globe to apply. My first point is prepare. And with that prepare, I have 3 questions, all starting with when. So it's all about when, right? So we are meeting today. The assumption is that sometime in the future or maybe tomorrow you are going to apply. That's the first one. So you need to determine when do you want to go to graduate school, right? And the second one is when do I start preparing? And the third one is when am I going to do it? And that is tied to the fifth point that I will talk about. So all these 3 points are connected. Now, there was a school of thought, or there is a school of thought that if you're trying to apply for 4/20/26, for example, admission, this is the right time to start. But it might be too late because the application session for 4/20/26 is actually in session now, right? So application open somewhere depending on the university, especially for the US system. So let's be very accurate about this. Starting now until somewhere in January, or some people will extend it to February, right? So if you haven't thought of this before, you're already late. So that's too late for you. And even late is when you want to look at spring 2026. So it is very important that students take this into account. And I hope that PANAPA is not doing this for those who are trying to apply, but we need to start catching prospective students as soon as possible, especially those in the second year of the university, because there are a lot of things that they miss when they get to the 4th year or doing national service before they start this journey. So that's number 1, prepare, when, and that's as simple as that. Number 2 is research. You need to research where, how, and what. Where means, where do I want to do the PhD or my graduate studies, right? I know a lot of people focus on the US, and I am proponent of the fact that knowledge is not just in the US or in the Western world. Knowledge is everywhere. So I was lucky to be in University of Groningen to do my master's, but I did my first master's in African University of Science in Technology in Abuja, Nigeria, right? So I am from Ghana. So people will be, usually there is a saying, and I want to say it now, I'm always speaking my mind, is that why do you leave Ghana to go study in Nigeria? Nigerians come to study in Ghana, right? So you need to know where do you want to go. And where I gave that example because that was the beginning of my journey. Of course, I'm not belittling what I've achieved at the University of Ghana in Legon. But that was the first time I went out of my country to live alone and study abroad on scholarship. So just to tell you, opportunities are all over the place. So do not just focus on the US, right? Look at Asia, look at Europe, very good school in Europe. If you've never heard about University of Groningen before, go and read about it. It's one of the best universities in the Netherlands, in Europe. So your journey may not necessarily be to the US. You are here today because Penn State is doing this event, but your journey may be in Japan. So if you focus on the US, you might lose those opportunities. Now, how? How is a lot of how. So the process of how do I get there? These are questions you need to ask yourself. And then what? The what is, what do you have in mind? Why do you want to do graduate studies? A lot of people do this for the reason. You ask people, it's like, well, I want to go there and study and possibly see if I can stay. That's the wrong answer. That's the wrong motive in the first place. Graduate studies or graduate school is graduate school. You are going there to study. If after studies you are fortunate enough to stay in the country, so be it. But if your first mind is, I'm going to study to stay there, so you are doing everything conditioned by this mindset, and that affects you. And this affects a lot of graduate students because they come and their attention are divided. Instead of focusing on the graduate studies and doing all other things secondary, sometimes the graduate study becomes secondary, and some even drop out of their graduate school because the focus is more on the term that you have famously coined, Jakpa or Jakpa, whatever you call it. I mean, I've been on those platforms a lot. So that's my second point. Now, if you know how and what, then you know that you need documents. You can't go to graduate school without providing documents. So that's my point 3. I call it dossier part 1. Things you have control over. So things you have control over. I'm going to mention them. Statement of purpose or motivation letter. These are same thing, just named differently. Cover letter if there is any needed. Research statement if there is anything needed about that. What again? Yes, those 3 things you have control over. So these are things you need to work on right away. You know you have control over those things. You give yourself deadline and timeline to achieve them. That leads me to point 4, which is dossier part 2. Dossier part 2 are things you have no control over. And sometimes these are the things that actually breaks us down, that gives us trouble. Things like if you don't yet have your certificate, you have to go and get it. And I mean, I coined this based on my experience, but things may have changed. I'm cognizant of the fact that we are living in a digital world now. Those days, you have to get all your documents, put them in an envelope, sealed by the authorities of the university, and they post them directly. If anybody of that generation, they will understand that. Some universities still do that. You can submit everything digitally online, but you still have to send your dossier. So things that you don't have control over are your certificates and transcripts if you don't have them at hand. Recommendation letter or referee letter, those are very, very important. And also if any institution wants you to kind of ascertain your certificate, I forgot the term for it. So things that you do with WES and other entities to show that this certificate is acceptable and is accurate, is representative of the fact. And all of those has to be obtained and on time. Now, I know we are all in the US, but universities apply different rules. You may also need English language proficiency, which Penn State does not require anymore. At least I know my department, Material Science and Engineering, does not require that anymore. But in the past, it was required. So you need to sit for that exam. So you can see there are a lot of things that are out of your control, which are requested of you. So if you don't prepare on time, that's when it comes back into this picture. You will not be able to meet the deadline. Some people will ask for GRE. So look for those things that are not under your control. And more importantly, before I move to the next point, is the recommendation letter. Most often, recommendation letters are what make you at the admission section. My learned colleague Deo is here. I think she will comment more on that. I checked her profile. She is Shreya Annes College. So she's at the admission department. So she could comment this on sometimes. People take recommendation letter or referee lightly. And then people think when they need it, that's when they have to approach people. Now, these letters are supposed to be letters that actually sell you in a different dimension, separate from your transcripts and your certificate. So if you don't have a very strong bond, cultivate a kind of friendship, and this is difficult for students to do sometimes, you need to cultivate a friendship with your referees. They need to know you inside out, so that when they see, each time they sit down to write about you, it has to be an epistle, right? Something somebody reads and feel like, wow, this is somebody I need to have. And a lot of us miss that chance because we just pass through the university. We don't create any relationship. We see those time as a transactional period. So you need the professor, you go to him or her. You don't even check on them. These are human beings. Everything is not, you cannot separate emotions, human behavior, if you understand psychology, from that, right? So I was fortunate enough. I was one of the shy students when I was school. I never talk. I never even ask questions because I feel like, oh, if I ask questions, it means I'm not. How is it that every other person in the class understand? I'm the only one who doesn't understand. So there are two ways you can distinguish yourself. If you are that type, you have to make sure that your work ethic and your results speak for yourself, right? Now, if you are not the type, you are the type who are like Patrick, I'm just picking on Patrick, who are outgoing, very outspoken, you want to use that as an advantage. You want to make sure that every lecturer who taught you from level 100 to the first year to the fifth year know you, and that person can write to you, write about you. And that person, even if you see let me give that an example. If you see an advert or a position that says the deadline is in 2 days, and you have all the document, and the only thing you need is a reference letter, that person drops everything to write the reference letter for you in time. That's the type of relationship you want to cultivate. We can discuss that more. Now I'll move to point 5, which is application. What is needed? I covered them in point 3 and point 4. You see that they are related. But in this case, what is needed is, what is the platform? How do you have to apply? You need to get used to the platform. What are they requesting? So these are things you need to understand far ahead of time before you come. What are the requirements? And follow instructions. So that's for the application process. If you don't, you'll be in serious trouble. You may not even get admitted, and especially when you come from the continent where, if you are talking about the US system, you are at a huge disadvantage because we have something that is called open house. These days they do online open house. It's not the same as open house with physical presence, right? Physical presence where you can connect to the professors. Some of you will do online open house. Of course, you can connect to professors, but there is that barrier to you that you cannot travel all the way to the US to go to the institution, to go to the department, to talk to the professors, where they can have that at least 30 minutes connection with you and say, okay, this is the person I'm going to take. So you want to make sure that you follow the instructions very well to the letter.
So sorry,
Now,
Prof. Before you move to your next point, you have 3 more minutes.
Okay, I'm on
Thank
time. What next? After you apply, you wait for the result. Sometimes you might get interview. It depends, right? Sometimes people may contact you back and say, I like your profile. Can you submit a bit of writing? You want to make sure that you have given information that are accurate for you to be contacted at any time, and you have to respond to that. So what next? You need to, that's also very important. There's case an interview, you want to make sure you are preparing for that. Then you have admission, right? If you have admission, hooray. If you don't have it, you move to the next one. So there are two ways. You always have to prepare for, two sides to the coin. It's either positive or negative. It's only in soccer that you play a game you can win or lose or draw. In admission, there's no such thing as a draw. You either get it or you don't, right? Now, after you get admission, you have to ask yourself what to expect. This is the time for you to begin to read about your guests or your host institution, your host country. What is the culture there? This is something a lot of students overlook, right? They overlook that and they don't know the differences in cultures, and they come here and they get really, like we call mental health, depression. All of these come with the fact that you don't know anything about where you are going. You might be the first person traveling out of your family to come abroad. You have to learn about the weather. How is the weather pattern? Is this something I can cope with, or is this something I can already psychologically prepare myself for? What is the lifestyle there? What are things that are allowed, that are not allowed? The jokes that we pass when we were back home about ourselves to ladies. I mean, we live in a culture where you have to know the cultural differences and be able to live there and perform, right? So a lot of things are expected from you. And when you come, it is your responsibility. It is your graduate studies. Your professor is just there to guide you. And if you think you are doing it for your professor, that is where problem begin. So you have to take the bull by the horn. You have to be always ahead of your professor. That's what makes a good relationship. A lot of people fail and have a lot of difficulty with their advisors just because they don't understand the culture, just because they think that they are doing the PhD for the advisors who actually suffer and write grants, get money to take care of them. That's the US system, but they think it is their right. Of course, you have your right, but you also have to know your responsibility for you to have a very great graduate studies experience. And this is where I will stop. And if there are details that we can talk about later, we can do it. We can do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Notifafa, for that wonderful speech. And it's very, very exciting. And thank you very much. We'll quickly move to the next speaker, Mrs. Deo. Mrs. Deo, I see you're ready already. Okay, welcome. The floor is all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank the executive of PANAPA for doing this. I think this is a great opportunity for those of you on the other end of the ocean or across the pond, as we say. I guess it's bigger than the pond, to begin to prepare yourselves for this next stage of your educational experience. I do have a PowerPoint to share, but before I do that, I just want to commend Dr. Nutifafa Yao Dumont for his presentation. I think someone who's been through the process and successfully, and who has also now become a person that mentors students and works with students. All of his points are very, very well taken. I will also warn you that there's going to be some repetition here because but my comments will be more process based, but a lot of overlap between what he said and what I've said. So hopefully this buttresses it for you. And if you're a visual learner, here is slides for you to maybe take photos of, and I can make it available as well for you to use as a reminder when you get to the point of preparing. All right, can everybody see my slide? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Fantastic.
Yes. Yes, we
Okay.
can.
So again, my name is Deyola Onishola. I have been in the process or in the field of enrollment management, as we call it in America, for close to 40 years now. This is what I do at the graduate as well as now at the undergraduate level, but certainly have had some experiences at the graduate level. So what I want to do is sort of go Penn State and then go broad, because why not, right? Because we're here at Penn State. Penn State is one of the top universities in the country, and even indeed internationally. I think that Penn State is perennially in the top 100 of universities across the world. When you think about the fact that just in the United States there are over 3,500 colleges and universities, being in the top 100 is really quite an accolade. We are one of the largest universities in the country. As you can see here, there are 14,000 plus graduate students at Penn State. That is a big number, but university-wide, there are over 90,000 students at this university. Most of them are undergraduates. So we do a lot of teaching and a lot of graduating. We like to say that 1 out of 70 graduates in the United States with a university degree is a Penn State grad. We are everywhere. I can attest to that because I have had the great honor to travel to recruit Penn Staters from all around the world, and I've been to, well, close to 50 countries. I don't think I've been to a country yet where I haven't either met a Penn Stater or someone who is closely related to one. So when we say we're everywhere, and that means networking, that means opportunities, that means connections, and that's the point I want you to take away from that accolade that Penn State has. Penn State is a comprehensive Research One university. That's the highest classification of universities in the United States. In our case, over $1 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars in annual research expenditures every year means that there are lots of faculty across the Commonwealth, across the university, at all of our campuses doing great cutting edge research. We can talk about the politics of America, but I won't go there right now. But that is still a big number, right? And there are 6 locations throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania where we offer graduate degrees. To be sure, most of our students, most of our graduate programs, most of our doctoral and master students you will find at the University Park campus. I was trying to put a map on here, but I wasn't very successful. If you look at the map of Pennsylvania and you put a dot in the geographical center of the state, that's where University Park is. It is a college town, a quintessential American college town, which means that there was nothing here, and then the university came, and now there's a whole town that has developed around it. So a very student-centered place. But it is also, because it's in the middle of the state, a little far removed from the largest, maybe well-known cities in Pennsylvania. So if you think about Philadelphia as a major city, it is the 6th largest city in the U.S. That's on the East Coast. That's on the eastern side of the state of Pennsylvania. And then there is Pittsburgh, which is in the western side of the state. It's the next largest city. And the capital of Pennsylvania is Harrisburg, which is about 90 minutes by car, or about 90 miles, 90 miles south of University Park. So when you're coming to State College, to Dr. Duomo's point about know the culture, know that you're not going to be near a big city. You are going to be in rural central Pennsylvania, which is a singular experience, one that I'm not necessarily discouraging, just saying that's what we are. Right? So if you're looking to be in a city, this will not be the place. The Behrend or Erie campus is near Lake Erie. It's in the northwestern side of the state, near Canada, if that makes a difference to your figuring. The Harrisburg campus is in the state capital, a much more urban area as things go. And then we have the Hershey Medical School for those of you who might be interested in PhDs or MPHs in the biomedical sciences. That is about 2.5 hours south of here. So it's kind of halfway between State College or University Park and Philadelphia. The Great Valley campus is a special kind of campus. It is in the Philadelphia suburbs. I don't know what their international student population is, but there are lots of people who are location bound who have to be in the Philadelphia area that take advantage of that location. And then if you're interested in law school, we actually have 2 law schools. One of them is at University Park, and the other one is in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which is, again, a little south and east of Harrisburg. So get out your map and discover where all of the locations are at Penn State. So that really leads to some of the next things that I want to say. And I think I probably, yeah, we can talk about requirements first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about your steps and your processes. So what you see on this slide are general requirements for international students, general, broad, overview, the things that the graduate school is going to be looking for. In the American system, there's a 2-step process to graduate admissions. One is you meeting these minimum requirements that the graduate school sets that all of sort of the departments kind of agree on. We want official transcripts. We want them translated into English if they're not already in English. That translation needs to happen through a certified English transcript reviewer like Wes. There may be others now, but or there might be somebody but it has to be official. You can contact your American embassy or American corner. They have an education unit that can help you with finding translators in your native area. But hopefully all of us Nigerian, well, we're not all Nigerians here, I think, but if you're Nigerian, your transcripts are already in English, or from Anglophone Africa, they're already in English. but they have to be official. That means that it has to have a stamp from the academic institution and can either be uploaded or sent via mail to us, to the graduate admissions office at Penn State. And then if English is not your native language, minimum language proficiency requirements need to be met. This here are the minimum requirements generally. I know that some departments have higher or lower thresholds, and some departments don't require the TOEFL or the IELTS or any other language proficiency right now. But you need to check with the departments. If you are going to be paying your way, you need to provide financial documentation in order for your visa to be issued. So start working on that early as well. Know that those requirements might exist for you. And if they do exist, it's going to be your responsibility to ensure that you're meeting them. And then the official word is that you need to apply at least 4 months before the semester starts. But I will tell you that if you're 4 months before the semester starts, you are way too late already. Right? And we'll talk more about that. For Nigeria, which this was short-sighted of me, I didn't ask beforehand for all the countries that are going to be here, but this information is available on the graduate school website, which I will share with you shortly. For Nigerian students, you need a degree, anywhere from a 4 to 6 year degree. You know, if you're going to medicine, that your degree program in Nigeria would have been 4 years, 6 years. If you are in most other programs, 4-year degree, but you need to have finished that degree, and there needs to be a transcript. There, in addition, needs to be official certification of degree and date awarded. That can be in the form of a letter or some sort of other certificates that your university will provide. And these have to be on official letterhead with the official stamps of the school. And then again, TOEFL is not required if you're Nigerian, but your program might require it. So make sure that you're checking. And these things are not in conflict because the second part of the review process is going to be completed by your academic department. Each department or college has a graduate admissions officer or coordinator, and that person is not only going to look to see that you have the official minimum required documents, but whatever else they need for their application, right? So keep that in mind and know that these things are not in conflict. And it's going to be your responsibility, as Dr. Nutifafa said earlier, it's going to be your responsibility to make sure that you have all these things and that you have them on time. Here's the website for the graduate school, and I particularly linked here the how to apply website because I think that's particularly helpful. There are links on this page that will help you with your research, that will help you with making sure that you're meeting requirements, and make sure that you have all the information that you need to successfully apply, right? I've bolded here this next point, which is that each program has individual deadlines and requirements. Just because the graduate school has listed very broad things does not mean that you have finished the process. So at the same time that you are working to meet the graduate school requirements, please make sure that you are also meeting your undergraduate, your department's requirements, because if those two things aren't finished, they will not extend an offer of admission. If the College of Engineering says we need IELTS or we need IELTS of 9.0, the fact that the graduate school says their requirement is an 8.0 is not going to qualify you. So make sure that you know what the department requires.
Terry, before you move to your next point, sorry to interrupt you. You have 3 more minutes.
Fantastic. I am not going to finish my presentation. You have 4 months, but I would say that your process should start 12 to 18 months before. So what should you be doing in that time? The first thing is preparation. Preparation is very important. You have to take tests, make sure that you schedule that so you can take them, pay for them and take them. And make sure that you start working on your transcripts early. Letters of recommendation. Dr. Nutifafa already said a lot about this, but who's going to write this recommendation? Give them a lot of time. Make sure that you're greasing all the wheels, as they say, to ensure that you have what you need. Who are you going to work with when you get here? How are you going to know that? Well, you're going to do some research. You're going to find out which program you want. Why do you want that program? who in that program is doing research in areas that you might be interested in, so that you can begin to, you don't have an opportunity to come to an open house, but you have an opportunity to write an email, cold email that professor and say, I've been on your website, I've been looking at your research, I'm interested in working with you, be persistent, and have more than one option, right? Not just in the US, but all around. So that means that you're going to be doing a lot of work on the internet, doing this research, going on websites, following the links, chasing down opportunities. This is a lot of work. It's almost a full-time job, but that's what you need to do. Where's your funding going to come from? If you're going to a school that does not fund, maybe in their first year, how's that going to happen for you? Make sure that you have a realistic plan in place for this. And then start working on your travel documents. At a minimum, make sure that you have a valid passport, depending on your country. That might take a long time. Right. So make sure you start working on that even before you have admissions, so that the process can be smoother when you get to the end. Make sure that you are paying attention to the minimum eligibility requirements. Here are some funding sources that Penn State publishes. Most students who are in graduate school are funded using assistantships, but that's no guarantee. I told you earlier that there are 14,000 graduate students. Over 4,000 assistantships means that some people don't get assistantships, at least not right away. Right? So make sure that you're keeping that in mind. If you're talking to a professor who says, oh, I'd love to have you, but I don't have any money to fund you, that tells you that you're going to either have to come up with your own money or find somebody else who does have money and is doing research in your area. So in summary, review the kinds of admission that you're looking for. Are you looking for a master's? Are you looking for a master's to a PhD program? Are you looking to go directly into a PhD program? Once you've selected, after doing research, the graduate program, ensure that you meet the eligibility requirements that are published. Use the resources that are online to find out about funding sources, etc. And know that your path may be very, very different than somebody else, even in the same program. So, just because person A that is at Penn State and this is what they did, that's helpful information and may help you with exploring what or asking the right questions. But the answer may be very different for you. Make sure that you are keeping all of the requirements in mind. Give yourself a lot of time. And good luck to you with the application process. I'll be here to answer any questions that you might have about anything that I've shared already. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dayo. That was a very awesome and nice presentation. We really appreciate this. Without further taking much time, I'll move to the next presenter, who is Rosemary. Rosemary, I see you're there already. Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you, Somto, and thank you to everyone that has already presented. Please, I sent a request to share my screen. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I would be going right into it because I have just 10 minutes. My name is Rosemary Tosaomi. I'm a PhD candidate at the Energy and Mineral Engineering Department. I also have a minor in computational science at Penn State. And prior to this, so my PhD, I was an undergrad in the University of Benin. I worked for about 2 years and then I applied to graduate school and I got 5 full funding offers. And so today I'll be talking about creating a compelling CV. Okay, so my agenda, I'll be talking about why your academic CV matters, the formatting essentials, core sections of your academic CV, and common mistakes to avoid and additional resources. Okay. So why does your academic CV matter? So first of all, it's often the first document that is reviewed. And we know that first impressions matter. So that's one of the reasons why you want to ensure that you have a strong academic CV. Another reason is that it highlights your research readiness and alignment with the program or the research professor that you're applying to. And also, if you put forth a very good academic CV, can set you apart, especially in competitive programs. So the next thing is the formatting essentials. So I'm going to distinguish between an academic CV and a resume. A resume is usually what you use to apply to jobs, and it's usually shorter in length. So it's usually like 1 to 2 pages. But an academic CV is a multi-page document, meaning that you are going to elaborate more on things like your scholarly achievements, your research experience, academic training, and contributions to your field. Some examples of formatting essentials. One thing that I'll emphasize on is maintaining consistency. The reason why this is important is that you're applying to graduate school, you're dealing with academics, and the people that you're dealing with are people that are very detailed. They pay attention to details. And so you want to show that you are also that kind of person, and one of the ways you do that is by maintaining consistency, not just in your academic CV, but in every other document you submit. You need to ensure that you maintain consistency. So things you want to look out for is your font size, your font type, your spacing, your bullet style, and all of those things. So I put an example here. I think this is from like Penn State's website. As you can see, this particular snippet looks very well formatted. It's easy to read, it's easy to understand. Another thing is that you want to avoid grammatical errors as much as possible. Please review your CV over and over again to ensure that there are no grammatical errors. Also, you want to use punctuation as needed. And then you have to use the reverse chronological order, which basically means that you're always going to put your most recent experiences first. So like the example on the left side, you can see that the 2018 education was put before 2013. So that's the way you have to organize every section in your CV. Also, you want to ensure that there's readability, like I already talked about. And then if there's one thing I want you to take from this presentation is the way you communicate your experience. You have to use action verbs. So I don't know if you guys know about the STAR approach. So the way that I want you to look at it is when you're filling your academic CV, you can remove the situation part of the STAR and focus on the task, the action, and the results. So always use action verbs, things like, okay, I coordinated this, I developed this, and you want to also ensure that your outcomes are measurable, which I'll be getting more into in the other sections. So the next part is the core sections of the academic CV. The first part I'll be talking about is the contact information. So most people do not know that your contact information is like the most important section of your CV. And the reason why that is because that is the way your reviewer is going to know you and be able to contact you. So if you don't have any contact details, how do they reach out to you? They have any additional questions, or how do they learn more about you? So you want to ensure that you have that as the first thing on your CV. And the first thing there should be your name, and it should be large and bold. So there's an example here by the left side of the screen. And you can see that it's kind of bold and large, and the person can quickly pick out that this is your name. Also, you want to include your professional email. So for some of you, you might have a professional email from your school, so like a .edu email. But if you don't have that, it's fine. You could just use your regular Gmail, but ensure that it's something that you always visit and look at in case you receive any emails from the university. Then also you want to include your address, not your exact home address, but you can put things like your state and your country. And then also, if you have like a LinkedIn profile that is updated, you can include a link for your LinkedIn. Also, if you have publications and you have a Google Scholar profile, you can include a link to that. And if you're someone who programs and you have a GitHub profile, you can include a link to that as well. Something else that can make you stand out is if you have a professional website or a portfolio. And I think that that's something that you could spend some time to actually create. I feel like it will make you stand out from every other person applying. And so you can also include that in your contact information. Ensure that all your links are active and updated. So the next thing is the education section. And at this section, you want to highlight your all your educational degrees, So like I said, using the reverse chronological order, you want to highlight your degree, your major, your institution, your graduation dates. If you've already graduated, or if you're still enrolled, you put like your expected date of graduation. If you worked on a thesis, you put your title of your thesis as well as your advisor's name. And then if you have a high CGPA, it's advised advisable to include that since this is an academic CV. But if you do not, then you probably should not include that. Then also, if you do not have a lot of experience, maybe in terms of teaching and maybe professional experience, one of the ways you can make your CV look fuller is by adding like your relevant coursework when you were an undergrad or in your previous program. You just put the title, you don't have to put the description, so the title is enough. And then also if you have honors, achievements like you graduated with first class, a second class, upper, cum laude and all of that, you could include that in the education section. So the next thing I'm talking about is the research experience, which is very
Sorry to interrupt you, Rosemary. Just to remind you, have 3 more minutes. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I think I'll just breeze through this. So this is very important, especially when you're applying for like a master's and a PhD where we're going to be doing research. You want to highlight that maybe you did an undergraduate thesis, you worked on a thesis. If you have publications, you want to highlight that you actually have experience doing research. So this is just like a format of how you can do that. You put a little description of what your research was and the findings, emphasis on the findings, right? You have to quantify your results. What was the impact of what you did? Don't just put, oh, I worked on this and then that's it. So I'll be moving on to the publications and presentations. If you have publications, which is great, you definitely need to have a publication section where you highlight the publications that have been published and even the ones you're currently working on. So I personally would advise that you don't leave this particular area blank. Even if you don't have a publication yet, you should be working on one, so you should highlight that and say, okay, this is currently in review or this is currently in preparation or something like that. And then also if you have manuscripts, if you have presented at maybe a conference before, you want to highlight that as well. And then also highlight your authorship position, like this example, the person boldened their name, right, in this example. So the next one is the professional experience. And this is for if you maybe had an internship or you have like post-university experience that is relevant to the role that you're applying for. I need to highlight that. If it's not relevant, then you don't have to include it. But if it's relevant to the research role you're applying for, then you should include it. And also try to ensure that you're highlighting you're tailoring your CV as much as possible to the role that you're applying for. So you have to show that professional experience informs your research interests, right? Because I do not have time, I will just jump to the common mistakes to avoid. So you want to prevent writing really long paragraphs. You're not trying to write an introduction in the paper or an abstract. So just keep it simple and concise. Communicate your outcomes as clearly as possible. You want to avoid typos. You want to prevent, not include any irrelevant work experience that is, like I said before. You want to avoid your high school achievements or your secondary school, as we call them in Nigeria. Also, you want to tailor it to each program. You don't want to have a single CV for all the programs you apply for. Try to tailor it to each program and each research position. And then also sell yourself. And also one little thing that you might miss is that if you're copying and pasting your documents, you might have a different name saved on the name of your file. So you might be applying to Penn State and you still have Ohio State. You might want to like go through that and be careful to, ensure that you don't make such mistakes. And then for additional resources, I would advise you use LaTeX for formatting your CV, and then you can check overleaf.com. They have different templates that you can use, and also visit, for Penn State, you can visit the Student Affairs.psu to get additional information. And so I'll be stopping now.
Thank you very much, right on time. I really appreciate the talk, and that was very valuable. Thank you very much. Then we move to the next speaker, Mr. Azubine. If he's here, he can take the floor. You're still mute. Can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes. And you're back to mute. Can you still unmute yourself?
Okay, yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Azwine Samuel, and I'm a graduate student here at Penn State. I'm doing a dual title degree, INTAD and agricultural engineering. So INTAD is International Agriculture and Development. So today I'll be talking to you guys about your statement of purpose, what it is and what it is not. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
I'll just
Yes, it's
turn
off.
up. I have to turn up my camera.
Yeah, we can
So
see your screen, Ram.
yeah. So your statement of purpose / personal statement. So what it is and what is it not? So this is the most important part of your application. Just like Professor Nutifafa have already said, talked about a couple of stuff. So this is you're defining like things you can control, one of the things you can control in your application. So I'm going to just go straight into what it is and what it is not. So I'll start with what it is not. So first, it is not. First, it is not another avenue to come and repeat your CV. We already have your CV. They already have your CV. The committee already have your CV. So this is just you trying. This is your opportunity to try to maybe go into detail. You can still repeat your CV, but you have to be like creative about it. Not like repeat everything. Just maybe take one of the positions you have there and try to talk more on what you did there and expand on it. But it is not like you coming to repeat it again. They have seen your CV. They know what it is. The second is not about you telling us come to tell the graduate committee your personal life story, or coming to board them out. So you have to be creative about it. So for this presentation, I'm going to do this in 4 ways. First, I'm going to talk about what it is and what it is not, like I already said. Then give you tips on how to creatively write this, because most times from what I've seen from this is it depends on your writing skill. If you've written any serious stuff, you know how to like organize your thoughts and flow creatively and pass a message to the graduate committee. So yeah, like I was saying, it is not where you come to like your personal history and all that. And it's not one of the assignments you do, with ChatGPT and just drop it for them. So you have to be this is like the most important part of your application. So this is like the most important part of your application, and you need to do it very well. So what it is you telling us 5 things. So there are 5 things that need to contain. First, your motivations, like what motivated you, at what point do you decide to go to graduate school, what's about that. You can be, maybe you are working in an engineering firm, maybe you're an electrical engineer, something happened, or probably you had an interview for a company and maybe they took the light and then you decided to, okay, I want to study solar engineering or electrical engineering to know how to solve this problem for my country. Or maybe you cured your village chief's daughter, maybe, or you went to a hospital and just any random thing, any random thing can motivate you. Can just put it down there and as part of your motivations. Secondly is your relevant academic experience. What have you done? Your academic experience or professional background. So what have you done? Your experiences, where are you coming from? For instance, you're a lawyer, you are specializing in corporate law, and now you want to go into IP. What's motivated you to do that? What are you bringing? Thirdly, the articulation of why this can't see my sorry. Why this program and this university? Yeah, so why Penn State? Why this university? Why the XYZ? Because I'm assuming that you're applying to different university or a program like, say, for instance, MasterCard, or like Professor Nitifa said, an European university. So why this university? What did you see? What are you bringing? What prompted you to choose this school? So everybody wants to hear good stories about them. So you can just convince them. So this is where you do this. First, your research interest. What are you coming to study? Why do you want to study that? Do you have experience in this? Maybe you are coming to study nursing or maybe medicine. You have worked in a hospital, or you are coming to study, like I said before, electrical engineering. You have been in the field. You have been laying pipes, connecting, doing networks, or software engineering. You have been writing code for a while. So what prompted you, and then your interest as well. Then your future goals. What do you want to do with this degree when you get it? Are you trying to change the world? Are you trying to build the next Google? Are you trying to, create something tangible? Or maybe you just want to get the degree and then apply it. So anything, just have to think, because it's your personal life. So that's why the personal statement is your personal life. You don't have to use ChatGPT or any LLM to try to craft it. But you can, but you have to be like creative about it. It's mostly like your personal. The committee is trying to get to know you. They want to like feel like they know you. So the next one, my personal tips is just to start on time. First, start on time. Starting on time means, for instance, just like the prof said earlier, if you are applying for the next cycle, like for 2026, you should have started by now, or maybe be rounding up. So maybe start 3 weeks or 4 weeks before your due date is due. So I know most times it's November 15, December 1, December 15, January 15, so stuff like that. So start on time, so you can have time to proofread and also send out to people that can look at it and help you edit. Secondly, try to first of all pour out your whole thoughts, and don't worry about editing. Just pour out everything you have in mind, right from your heart. That's the most important thing, right from your heart. Try to you are writing to humans, and these professors, they want to hear you talk to them like a human, like you're like a student, and then write. So I have this principle. It's called KISS. No, it's not like a principle. It's a principle in software engineering. So it's KISS. It means keep it simple, stupid, but I would say keep it simple, sophisticated. So as you're writing, make sure you are conveying with each sentence. You are doing something with each sentence. Don't just be writing and writing. So most of what you do in your statement of purpose depends on your writing skill. Like how good are you with writing? How do you know your writing very well? So those 5 stuff, like I mentioned earlier, you can arrange them in any particular order. You can start with your motivation as your introduction, then from there, you go to your research interest, then talk about why you want to do this right now, or why you chose Penn State. So it depends on your writing skills.
Sorry to interrupt you, just to remind you, you have 3 more minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been rushing to know if I can finish up, but yeah. Finally, as part of my tips, edit. So this is the most important thing. After you have poured out everything you have in your mind, try to organize them. Make sure they flow naturally, so that you don't mix up things that doesn't make sense. Then you can edit. Then finally send it out to maybe 1 or 2 people, like a friend or someone that's already in graduate school, to help you look at it. Some people will say print it out and read it out loud. Some people will say read from the back, but sending it out as well to a friend, someone that is already in school, that knows what they're doing actually, to help you proofread. Even professors they still do editing, people still review their work. So you just have to do this part, because some things, most of the time, what you cannot see is sitting down. So it's there, but you cannot see it. It's someone that will just look at it and be like, oh, what are you talking about here? This doesn't make sense, and this field doesn't match what you're doing. So again, what this SOP does is, what you do in your SOP is basically to try to connect everything you have submitted, both from your transcripts, your certificates, your documents, everything you have submitted. Try to connect everything together, including your CV. You can make reference to a particular experience you have in your CV, and then try to explain what you did there. Maybe you fed some school children, and then from there you got this feeling of pursuing a graduate degree in social work that you have this knack for it, or you have this emotional attachment to kids and all that. So yeah, just like I'm saying, edit, edit, and edit. Then you can use Grammarly to look at your sentences and structure them, or you can use Word. Word has an editor that can help you. It has autocomplete and spell check as well to help you fish out errors. So the best way to actually like get how this works is reading other people's essays. So there are resources out there that you can look at. So for instance, this graduate admissions essay, I recommend like you get it and look at a couple of samples there. They are very good. They are very nice ones with good introductions and content as well. So for your writing, you can get on writing well. I recommend this to anyone that wants to like improve their writing in general. On writing well, you can read this first one, a classic guide to writing nonfiction, to help you understand what you're trying to do in any piece of writing. So you can overwrite, but then cut it down. Another thing is most of the graduate admissions or different scholarships you apply to, they have guidelines, they have limitations, like they have word limits. For instance, they might say 1,000 words. Please don't exceed it. Just stick to it. Then after you have written everything I've written and edited and done everything, try to convert it to PDF. This it should be a no-brainer, but some people still submit Word document, and then why should you not do that? Most times you don't know what they're going to open your document with. You just open it and it will scatter. Just make sure you convert to Word document, and then when you're submitting, check which document you're submitting, so you don't submit the wrong thing to the wrong thing. So these are a little stuff that sometimes you miss out on. So
sorry to
finally,
interrupt. Your time is up, but I'll just give you an extra 1 minute for you to round off. Thank you very much.
finally, there's no secret ingredient to writing this. You just have to sit down, think about what you've done, your experiences, your academic qualifications, the whole thing you're submitting. Just bring them together, and that is. I would have wanted us to look at an example of an introduction. So the introductory part is the most important part. So we have like 3 sentences to catch your reader or your graduate committee, like to tell them why they should continue reading this, because they have a lot of things they're doing, they have a lot of things they're reading, and you don't have to make it as boring again. So you need somebody to edit it for you. So well, there's no time again. So thank you for listening.
And thank you very much, Mr. Azamine, for the wonderful presentation. And I think at this point, we have to move into the Q&A session, and we'll try to be a little bit quick and fast about that. And for the panels, I see some questions, and some of them are specifically with names addressed to a panelist, and some of them are just like really open. So I'll just say, any question without name, any of the panelists who has an answer can just quickly do justice to the question and give an answer. And let's try to keep it as brief as we can and take as much questions as we can. And after that, after the questions, we will have a closing remark by a member of the eBoard panel before we close. Okay, so the first question is a general question, and I think most likely maybe to the Panapa group, eBoard to answer this, because it's just like someone is asking if there is by chance one will be able to get access to the documents used in this section. I don't know if any person from the eBoard could guarantee this.
Yes, we can try to send them the document after by email.
Okay, that works well. Thank you very much for the quick response. And the second question is being directed specifically to Mrs. Deo. And the question is, I want to direct my question to Mrs. Deo. Please, I want to inquire about undergraduate admissions in law. What are the requirements, and is there any form of scholarship?
This is a great question. The direct answer is that there is no undergraduate studies in law. In the United States, law is a graduate school. But you do need an undergraduate degree. That undergraduate degree can be in any number of things. I would encourage you to look at anything that is related to maybe the type of law that you want to practice. So, for instance, there are lots of people who are interested in patent law, and they will do a science degree in any number of things. People who want to, the typical routes are political science or something in the social sciences, right? The only undergraduate major you should absolutely avoid is pre-law. Law schools don't like to see pre-law as an undergraduate degree. They don't think it's good preparation. I would also encourage you to look for a school that maybe has a pre-law advising center, so that they can help you with making sure that you are taking the right types of courses and can mentor you through the application process. So in the United States, you do a first degree and then you apply to law school, and law school is extremely competitive. So as for scholarships, I would say the same thing that applies to every other undergraduate degree program applies here. There are schools that offer scholarships. Again, research is your friend. You can these days Google and AI may be able to tell you schools that maybe have full ride or full scholarships for undergraduate students. I would tell you that it's not most schools, and even schools that have that kind of support, it's very limited. So you have a lot of work to do research-wise to find schools. For Penn State specifically, we do not fully fund any students. We particularly do not fully fund undergraduate students at the undergraduate level. So hope that helps.
Thank you very much. I think that should be able to help. And then we'll move to the next question. The next question, in as much as it doesn't have a name on it, but I think this should be for Rosemary, and any other panelists could jump in if there is an answer generally for this person. What should be the ideal number of pages for my academic CV for applications to master's program and PhD program respectively?
So I don't believe that there's like a fixed number you should have. The most important thing is that you should ensure that what you put in there is actually relevant, and you're not just trying to fill up spaces. But I would say that 4 pages is good, but try not to have like half pages, like maybe you write up to a point and then there's nothing there. So try to ensure that all the pages are full, but emphasis on relevance, not just trying to fill up spaces. If you have only 2, it's still fine, but if you can make it up to 3 to 4, that would be good. So that's my response to that.
Thank you very much for that very quick and precise answer. And then we'll move to the next question. I have a question on the motivation bit. Should the motivation always stem from issues in your field? So I think any panelist could jump in, but I think this question is for Mr. Azubini, but any panelist is free to jump in.
Yes, it doesn't have to be from your field. You can just be an experience, an encounter you had, maybe while at work, or you went for a work conference, you met a CEO that said something that resonated with you, and you decided to, okay, I'm going to take this further by pursuing my graduate studies in it. Or maybe you had a problem in your company, you are a finance guy or you're a finance girl, and maybe something happened, you had an issue with a client and the person didn't pay up, something like that. It can be anything. I started to that motivated you to just try to frame it in form of a story, a captivating story that don't make it boring. It can be interesting, but the way you write it, 2 people can be saying the same thing and then they are conveying different emotions with it. One person will say the same thing, the person will say another thing, but then one person put it better, said it better in an interesting way, and you got the attention of your grade committee. So it can be anything. That's the essence. That's my answer. It can be anything.
Okay, thank you very much for that precise answer. And then we quickly move forward to the next question. And the next question is, please, when do I start emailing grad school professors? It's not directed to any person, but any panelist could jump in. Thank you.
It's difficult to say. You also have to remember that professors are human beings. Some people are very organized in a way that if you write to them what they call off-season, they will not respond. Now, you need to know this is not being rude. Professors receive tons of email per day, and they actually miss some of the emails, right? So if I tell you that, a month to admission period is the best time to write to a professor, I may be lying. There is no formula to that. Similarly, I want to use that to comment. There's nobody knows. I'm a professor today. If you ask me to write cold email, I wrote cold email before. I didn't know that's what it was at the time. Now people have a name for it. Some professors reply, some do not. So there is no absolute formula for that. Same way with the motivation letter. Nobody has cracked the code for that. You just have to make sure that you are communicating your bit and you are sincere. That's the most important thing. Being like, I like how Samuel put it, be you. Don't be fake. Don't over exaggerate things, because that you'll find yourself wanting. So the only thing I would advise though, if you send a cold email to a professor, resist from sending email every other week. It's annoying. I mean, I'm speaking to you as a brother or now. I mean, forget I'm a professor, because if the person will reply, he or she will reply, okay? But if you want to follow up, I'll normally tell people, let 4 weeks pass, right? The person may have lost that email. Professors travel a lot. He may be at a conference when the email came in, didn't see it. Give the person 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then you can reach out again. If you reach out the second time, you don't receive a reply, try after a month again. If you don't, move on. There are thousands of professors out there, right? So there is no specific time. You might be lucky you send an email, the professor have funding, and that's the moment the professor is replying. You are just lucky on the spot at the time. So that's what I would say for that.
I would just add that in addition to everything that you said, which is so true, that you should get to the point in your email. If you get past the first paragraph and you haven't said while you're writing, you've lost them. So make sure that you've done your homework. Don't just say, oh, I want to know what your research is about. Do your homework and find out what their research is about, and then speak to your interest in their research in a real concrete way, and do it in as few words as possible.
Okay,
And
thank
that
you very
reminds
much.
me
Okay.
quickly.
Yeah, can I add to that? Sorry. So
Yes.
this is like as a student. So if you're sending emails, try to time the early mornings of United States, like use our timing. So send it around in the morning so it hits and they can check it. Because most times in the evening, most people are like leaving work already. So try to marry your time with our US times morning, like morning time. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. It makes sense. One thing I also want to add is I've received emails, not from, but it's saying the wrong signal. I think somebody mentioned that, Rosemary. Make sure you are composing the email to the person the email is intended to. You don't write to Mrs. Deo and say Professor Dumont. It's like I felt victim for that before when I was also applying, because we tend to compose one email, copy, paste, and then in a hurry we do that. But try as much as possible not to do that. It sends the wrong message. Or you get my name right and then you get the university wrong. It sends the wrong message. This is Penn State University. It's not University of Pennsylvania, right? That I can see how people can easily confuse the two. But worse is to write to me at Penn State University and say you want to do mechanical engineering at Ohio State University. First, I'm not in mechanical engineering. I'm not at Ohio State, right? And I also want to reiterate one thing Mrs. Deo said, and I think a lot of you don't really use it these days. It's like you have a powerful tool, which is the digital media platform that you have now, the website or Google AI. You have even AI embedded in Google now that actually sieve information for you. We didn't have that those days, right? But how did I get to go to University of Groningen? Nobody told me about that before. It's just through a simple Google search. I was actually looking for something else. I was looking for a scholarship to study nanotechnology. Then I was told, look for Eric Blumick. I looked for Eric Blumick, and I heard that it was at the University of Groningen, which does not offer nanotechnology, but nanoscience. So I was like, well, I must as well study the science behind the technology. And that's how I got my full scholarship to study my master's. So use your internet for the research. And that is a powerful tool you have today. Don't joke with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the answers we've gotten. I think that's very helpful. For time, we have a lot of questions, but I think we just have time for two more. Then I think during the closing remark by a PANAPA e-board member, maybe they could drop a means in which the guests could communicate and drop their questions and get answers. And I'll drop right next to the last two questions I'll ask before the closing remark. So the first question, the first of the last is, I studied computer science. Can I apply for law degree without GRE?
Law schools are looking for LSATs, law school admission test, not GRE, and you need to check with each law school to find out what they want from you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Dayo. Please don't off your mic because the next question is also directly to you specifically. So the question says, thank you, Mrs. Dayo. Can you tell us a little bit about BA in Society and Law in Penn State? Is it a distant learning program or a normal program because it is another campus of Penn State?
Okay, so look for the campus. I think there are a number of programs at Penn State called Society and Law. And I think the World Campus also offers this. I can look it up real quick for you, but use AI. It will tell you the campus that offers it. I don't want to take the time here, but let me put my email address, and we don't have the chats today. My email address is M as in Mary, Z as in David, MZ is not David, is zebra, D as in David, 1, the number 1, at psu.edu. I can answer questions about the undergraduate degree and distance learning and other questions that you might have about the process of applying as an undergraduate student, since that's not our topic today. But yes, you can choose to do your degree through the World Campus. That's perfect. That's as accredited and recognized as a in-residence degree program, and that might make sense even for some of you. I'll stop there.
Okay, so sorry, just for clarification purposes, Mrs. Dayo, can you just a little bit tell the audience what World Campus means? Because I
World
think
Campus, yes.
it's something unique within the US, so they could be able to
Yes.
understand.
Yes. So Penn State has a world campus. Most universities these days has some kind of distance learning or global campus where you can basically, you're going to complete your degree online. All of your courses, all of your experiences will be in an online environment. It might make sense for you financially to do that as the cost varies from in-residence. And obviously, you don't have to worry about getting a visa to come to the United States, but you're still getting a United States accredited degree. And that's really, really important. If you're looking at online programs, make sure that it is from an accredited school. That's the degree that's going to allow you to go on to grad school if that's your interest. There are also graduate programs that you can do online. I will tell you that depending on the school, all of those courses are going to be taught by faculty who may even also be teaching that same course in residence, that is in person. So it's another option, right, that you can look at, and it's a more and more popular option as we go. It's a very different experience, but absolutely equally valuable and recognized as an in-residence program.
Thank you very much for that spot on answer. And then I'll move quickly to the e-board, PANAPA e-board. A member from the PANAPA e-board could give us a closing remark. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming today. Thank you, professors. Thank you, Rosemary and Samuel. Thank you, Somto, for being such a good host. Thank you guys for your brilliant questions. It shows that you guys are really interested, and I hope we all have answered good answers for your applications. And if you have any further question, please feel free to send us an email. I hope I guess you all have our emails. If not, we can still share with you. It is Panapa eBoard 2526 arrobas Penn State Office 365 or simply Panapa arrobas psu.edu. Sorry, I'm mixing the French and the English, and it always happens. People are used to that by this point. So if you have any question, please email us. If you have any, like, you want to get in contact with any of the speakers today, any professor, or even Rosemary or Samia, or even Somto, because you want also to learn how to be a good host, please feel free to contact us. Thank you so much, and as I said, see you soon, inshallah.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for the panelists for the wonderful speech given tonight, this afternoon, depending on where you're zooming in from. And just like the Panapa eBoard has already mentioned, if you have any further questions to ask, just email them, and I believe they will give you an answer. And for the host and panelists, if you wouldn't mind, they may also, like you advise them, using the LLMs to search your contacts and also reach out to you. And we really, really appreciate your time and giving us this speech. And I wish everyone have a wonderful day. And I see Patrick, the president. Do you want to jump in and say hi to the people before we leave?
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for your presence and being available for this. Thanks to the panelists also once again. And I'll say that Panapa will be doing the mentorship. So those who registered, we have your emails. We're going to send you an email mentored by the Panapa members. Then yes, you stand a chance to be mentored. And then we're going to create a WhatsApp page where all of you will be added, and then we take it from there. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for also being the panel, the moderator for us. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrick, and thank you everyone. And it's nice meeting everyone and hearing the wonderful speeches and by the panelists, and we really appreciate it. And I think for now we'll just call it a day because we're already out of time. Thank you, everyone.